Whether you're a Harry Potter fan who pines for the glory days of the franchise, or just some sick weirdo who longs for the opportunity to magically turn people into toads, Hogwarts Legacy might be just what you need. Developed by Avalanche Software, a subsidiary of Warner Bros. Games, Hogwarts Legacy has taken gaming and the wizarding world by storm. More impressive is that it achieved this without the involvement of any of the iconic Harry Potter characters we know and love, or the series creator, J.K. Rowling, which, by the way, is probably for the best considering how controversial the world-renowned author has become recently. The game has been nothing short of magical. It has charmed and spellbound its way to 9 out of 10 scores on both IGN and Steam. Oddly enough, Wired gave it a 1 out of 10, a review so low I suspect some form of dark magic is at play. But it begs the question, is Hogwarts Legacy really that great, or is the game overhyped? Find out here in today's review.
The key! Give me your hand!
Alright, let's kick things off with the story and narrative. Set in the 1800s, Hogwarts Legacy's story takes place hundreds of years before the events of the Harry Potter saga. Though it does not follow the storyline established by the Harry Potter books and may not technically be canon, the game's story is very faithful to the lore of the wizarding world. In Hogwarts Legacy, you play as a 5th-year student who transfers to the famous Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Learning spells, brewing potions, and making new friends is a huge part of the game's narrative. The main storyline involves you saving the wizarding world from evil goblins and dark magicians led by Ranrock and Victor Rookwood, respectively. You are also tasked with solving the mystery behind an ancient form of magic that only you can use for some apparent reason. Go figure. Hogwarts Legacy's story does not have the polish or razzmatazz that we are accustomed to in the J.K. Rowling novels. There are no unexpected twists, cliffhangers, or red herrings. But what it does have is a decent plot that allows us to explore Rowling's incredibly well-crafted world and finally fulfill our childhood fantasy of schooling in Hogwarts. As I mentioned earlier, the story does not involve Harry Potter, Ron Weasley, Hermione Granger, or any other main characters you remember from the book. No Severus Snape hating on Harry during potion classes, and no Voldemort to give you sleepless nights. Some fans might find the absence of these classic casts of characters jarring, but Hogwarts Legacy makes up for it by ensuring the rest of the world stays true to the lore. The world is so expertly recreated and the voice acting is so well done that it's pretty easy to see the events of the game taking place in the Harry Potter universe. What's more, we still got some ghosts and paintings that feature the original Harry Potter story, like the Fat Lady, nearly headless Nick, and the persistently annoying Peeves. In the end, Hogwarts Legacy is not concerned with rehashing the same old long-winded story we've heard and played 100 times already. It's more interested in setting up a whimsical and immersive backdrop where you can create your very own character and adventure. This is absolutely fine by me. Okay, now let's talk about the gameplay. As an open-world RPG game set in Harry Potter universe, Hogwarts Legacy's gameplay plays out how you would typically expect it to. You customize and name your very own character, and then you are immediately thrust into the whimsical wizarding world, which includes places like Gringotts, Diagon Alley, the Forbidden Forest, Hogsmeade, and of course, the eponymous Hogwarts. Despite all these incredible places in the game, you'll spend most of your time on the grounds, grand staircase, classes, and common rooms of Hogwarts learning spells, mixing potions, attending defense against the dark art classes, interacting with NPCs, making friends, and doing obligatory RPG side quests for them. And when you're not running around doing side quests or zapping your classmates with stunning spells, you're completing main quests with your mentor and confidant, Professor Fig, as well as other new companions explicitly created for the game. Hogwarts Legacy's gameplay is profusely fun, especially if you grew up as a Potterhead, just like I did. Exploring all the incredible places I have read and seen in movies brought tears to my eyes. It made me pine for the glory days when I poured through every Harry Potter book I could find and then daydreamed all day long about being a student at Hogwarts, casting spells, dating Hermione Granger, and punching Draco Malfoy in the mouth. During my roughly 30-hour gameplay, I got to experience bits and pieces of those fantasies, especially in relation to the exploration aspect. I can't begin to explain how extraordinarily vast and detailed the map of this game is. I was blown away by the school's sheer size while soaring through the sky in my first broom mission. Everything was recreated faithfully, including the school Quidditch pitch, even though you don't get to play Quidditch in the game, which is a huge bummer. Then again, I guess that DLC is not going to pay for itself, is it? Besides the popular settings, a large part of the map is open to discovery during story missions and side quests, like the restricted areas of Hogwarts, dungeons, caves, and the like. All these places aren't just for show either. Every part of the school genuinely feels alive. The students you pass in the hall sometimes play pranks on each other or levitate their books with magic. The paintings move, the ghosts float through the halls just like in the movies. I think any fan of the franchise and newcomers will definitely be impressed with the level of attention and care that the developers have put into this game. I do think that they could have done a bit more with the houses. Of course, you all know that there are 4 houses you can join in Hogwarts: Gryffindor, Slytherin, Hufflepuff, and Ravenclaw. Though a sorting hat helps you choose a house, just like in the books, ultimately, it's up to you to decide which house you wish to join by successfully responding to the sorting hat's question. But other than the uniforms and common room, there isn't much difference between the 4. As I mentioned earlier, the game also involves dialogues. It allows you to make many choices, but none of them ever feels really impactful, except for the ones you make towards the end of the game to unlock one of the 3 endings. Though the game gives you a free hand on most decisions, most choices do not change much of the game's story or gameplay. Not that I expected a Harry Potter inspired game to give you as much room to make bad decisions as Fallout New Vegas or a chance to romance your squad mates like Mass Effect does, but it would have been nice to try different paths during my playthrough. That said, the game does allow you to learn unforgivable curses like Avada Kedavra by completing the Sebastian Sallow questline. But no matter how many of the curses you learn, you can't go full-on Death Eater mode and burn the school down, not yet at least. Speaking of spells, you have a robust number of them to unlock throughout your playthrough, including popular spells like Levioso, Accio, and Reparo, etc. However, I was a little let down by the fact that you don't get to unlock the Patronus Charm, but the constant influx of other fun spells I unlocked kept me decently entertained. I enjoyed using Levioso to lift sheep and cats into the air more than I actually thought I would. I swear I'm not a dark wizard. I'm probably a dark wizard.
Made it.
Okay, next is combat. Combat is one of the many areas where Hogwarts Legacy really shines. I must admit I was a little skeptical coming into the game, having played a slew of lackluster Harry Potter titles already with dodgy combat. Still, I was pleasantly surprised to find that Hogwarts Legacy was not one of those games. Right off the bat, the game presents you with a significant ensemble of combat charms to choose from, like Levioso, Protego, Stupefy, Glacius, and eventually even the killing curse itself, Avada Kedavra. The game encourages you to mix up your spells and charms during combats. For example, you can disarm your opponent by lifting them up with Levioso, nail them with a barrage of stunning spells. Then with Accio, you can pull them closer to you and finish them off with a fire spell like Incendio. If all these sound incredibly fun, that's because it is. Hours into my gameplay, I was still thrilled by the possibility of unlocking new spells, and I couldn't wait to try them out during combat, or at least on my poor classmates, who never seemed to mind. Besides it being a lot of fun, mastering and upgrading spells are simply indispensable for combat. This is because the enemies in the game are no pushovers. Be it goblins, giant spiders, enchanted suits of armor, or even dark wizards, each enemy faction can pack a decent punch if you let them, and can also overwhelm you with their numbers. I love how the game gives you a few small goblins to kick around early in the game and then completely ramps up the difficulty by introducing enemies that can deflect simple attacks later on. This forces you to get creative during combat and not just spam the same old spells over and over again. The game also gives you an ancient magic meter that you can use to unleash a devastating ancient magic attack. Your ancient magic spell comes in handy mostly during duels and boss fights, which the game surprisingly has a good number of. Potions also play a big part in the game's combat. Figuring out the right ones to use before each boss encounter is always important. That being said, I didn't really use a lot of potions, I'll be honest. The only criticism I might have about the game's combat is with regard to the sparse enemy variety. After a few hours into the game, I did get tired of fighting the same goblins, spiders, and dark magicians again and again. Also, the combat could get a little stale and repetitive after a while, which is expected of an open world game RPG that's more than 30 hours long. Regardless, I still found it quite enjoyable, and I think you will too. Okay, let's talk about graphics and performance. Hogwarts Legacy graphics are simply stupendous. The developers went above and beyond to recreate Hogwarts in spectacular fashion. From the dining hall with floating candles to the menacing Forbidden Forest, everywhere is pristinely modeled down to the most minute details. With that said, there are some performance glitches I notice. Buildings and assets pop in and out of frame, especially during my flights around the school grounds. Some NPC students spontaneously disappear, and not in an invisibility cloak kind of way. Be that as it may, these glitches weren't a deal breaker for me, and it didn't even mess up with my immersion too much. Avalanche Software did a stellar job recreating the pre-established visuals of the wizarding world, and for that, I think they definitely deserve a pat on the back.
How far did that portkey take us? Farther from London than the carriage travelled.
Okay, let's talk about the replayability. Hogwarts Legacy has a decent level of replayability. There's a surprisingly huge number of guests in the game, even as much as in The Witcher 3. There is also a buttload of spells, charms, and loot to unlock. Some are quite unique. These elements will definitely keep players coming back, especially die-hard Potterheads. As I mentioned earlier, the game doesn't have a morality system or multiple paths to take, which is something that hurts its replayability. There's also the fact that the game's story plays out largely the same, regardless of which house you join. Whether any of these RPG elements will be implemented with DLCs or a sequel is left to be seen. Either way, the game as it is now is still pretty good, and I don't mind giving it a second or even a third playthrough. Okay, let's chat about the spirit of this game. With their first Wizarding World game, Avalanche Software clearly set out to create a spectacular game that pays homage to the Harry Potter franchise. The graphics, the spells, the characters you meet are all so well crafted that you can't help but experience a strong surge of nostalgia. The developers have intentionally created a game that both fans, gamers, and newcomers to the series can definitely enjoy. And also the fact that many people were really expecting this game to do badly, including myself. Especially the boycotters and skeptics made Hogwarts Legacy's success even more profound and, in a way, satisfactory. I think this is a game made by Harry Potter fans, for Harry Potter fans, and I, for one, was totally blown away by it. Hogwarts Legacy may be missing the iconic cast of characters we are used to seeing in the franchise, but it certainly made up for that with an incredibly perfect and well-designed open world that just whets your appetite for adventure. Its flurry of fun and deadly spells kept me entertained through my 30 hours of playthrough, and its fast-paced, intriguing combat gave me an experience that I will not forget in a hurry. As a gamer and a Harry Potter fan, I can say that Hogwarts Legacy is the best Harry Potter game to date, despite not starring the titular character, and it makes me very excited for the future. Therefore, I'll be giving this game 5 out of 5 stars. Do you agree or disagree with my review? Let me know what you think in the comments. We make awesome videos like this every week, so remember to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell to get regular updates on new videos. Thanks again for watching this one, you guys. We'll catch you in the next one.